Everything's under confusion? Oh, yeah, good. Just put that up here. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Manachari Vanacha Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Shodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajaka Jaya Asto Talasata Śrīmad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanande Namo Om Vishnupada Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhutijana Babu Itanamane Namo Om Vishnupada Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Itanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravanim Pacharane Nivasesha Srimati Paschatjati Satarane Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Can you grab me a Bhagavad Gita, please? Yeah. So we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 6. What is it? Instructions for mankind? What is it? Prescribed duties for mankind. Yes, thank you very much. Chapter 15, Narada and Angira instruct King Chitraketu. Text number 24. Drishyamana vinatena na drishyante mano bhavaha karma bhir jayato nana karmani manaso bhavan drishyamana vinartena na drishyante mano bhavaha karma bhidyayato nana karmani manaso bhavan drishyamana vinartena na drishyante mano bhavaha karma bhirjayato nana karmani manaso bhavan drishyamana vinartena na drishyante mano bhavaha karma bhidyayato vana karmani manaso bhavan drishyamana vinatena na drishyante mano bhavaha karma bhidyayato nana karmani manaso bhavan drishyamana vinartena na drishyante mano bhavaha karma bhidyayato nana karmani manaso bhavan drishyamana vinartena na drishyante mano bhavaha karma bhidyayato nana karmani manaso bhavan drishyamanaha, being perceived, bina, without, artena, substance or reality, na, not, drishyante, are seen, mano bhavaha, creations of mental concoction, karma bhi, by fruitive activities, jayataha, meditating upon, nana, various, karmani, fruitive activities, manasaha, from the mind, abhavan, appear. These visible objects, like wife, children and property, are like dreams and mental concoctions. Actually, what we see has no permanent existence. It is sometimes seen and sometimes not. Only because of our past actions do we create such mental concoctions, and because of these concoctions we perform further activities. Purport. Everything material is a mental concoction because it is sometimes visible and sometimes not. At night, when we dream of tigers and snakes, they are not actually present. But we are afraid because we are affected by what we envision in our dreams. Everything material is like a dream because it actually has no permanent existence. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes as follows in his commentary, Artena Vyagra Sapadina Vinaiva Drishyamanaha Swapnadi Bhange Sati Nadrishyante Tad Evam Daradayo Vastu Bhutaha Swapnadayo Vastu Bhutas Cha Sarve Mano Bhavaha Mano Vasana Janyat Van Mano Bhavaha. At night, one dreams of tigers and snakes. While dreaming, he actually sees them. But as soon as the dream is broken, they no longer exist. Similarly, the material world is a creation of our mental concoctions. Oh, excuse me. We have come to this material world to enjoy material resources. And by mental concoction, we discover many, many objects of enjoyment because our minds are absorbed in material things. This is why we receive various bodies. According to our mental concoctions, we work in various ways, desiring various achievements, and by nature and the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Karmana, Daivanetrena, we get the advantages we desire. Thus, we become more and more involved with material concoctions. This is the reason for our suffering in the material world. By one kind of activity, we create another, and they are all products of our mental concoctions. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmaye Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Svapadantikam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Karim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. This is heavy, right? Everything is a mental concoction. That means everything's false, right? Because, and why? Because it has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end, right? What does Krishna say? Na sato vidyate bhavo vidyate, what is it? Na bhavo vidyate sataha. Of the non-existent, the asat, right? There is no duration. Na sato vidyate bhavaha. Yeah, na sato vidyate. And of the eternal, there is no cessation. Right? There is no cessation. So two elements in our experience, and that is the temporary, and which is described here as non-existent. And then of the eternal, of which there's no cessation. Right? Now, this could easily be misconstrued or misunderstood, easily, right? Because the forms of the material creation, even though they are temporary and so therefore illusory, still the material energy is real and it exists in a permanent condition. Of course, sometimes it's manifest so that we can see it, and sometimes it's withdrawn, just like when Mahavishnu lies down in the causal ocean, right? Then the material creation is manifest through his breathing, right? And his breathing is different to ours because it's described that the breathing is through the pores of his skin, right? And out of the pores of his skin come the seed-like forms of the material universes. And as they come out of the pores of his skin, they expand, right, into the universal forms, which he again then enters into as the Chiradakashaya Vishnu. So in the breathing of Mahavishnu, the material universes come out, and so they're manifest, right? Previously unmanifest, then he breathes out, then they become manifest, but then when he breathes in, they're all absorbed back in his body and so no longer manifest. Right? In potent form, or in a suspended state, the material energy is still present, but it's combined within the form of Mahavishnu. So unmanifest, but still exists, right? Still exists. But the forms that it creates are temporary and so therefore illusory, right? And the forms that it creates, that the material energy, that Mahavishnu creates via the agency of the material energy, Mama Maya Durachaya, Krishna says, Daivihi yesha gunamayi mama maya durachaya. The material energy is being directed under Krishna, well, by Krishna himself, but manifest or facilitated by Maya, the illusory energy. So, manifest for a period of time, and here, it's mentioned here in the purport, manifest why? Why is the material creation manifested? One of the reasons why. I agree with you, know, why is the material creation manifested? What for? Yes, yeah. What else? What was the first thing that you said? Yeah, okay. The living entity wants to enjoy separately. And so what does he do? Sibya, what happens? Yeah, why? Yeah, we want it, right? We want it. Right? We want it. And that's more or less described here. The material world is a creation of our mental concoctions. Right? I want it, I want it, I want it. Right? Have you ever had a situation where you've become infatuated by something and that's all you want? Experienced that? Huh? No. Yes. Yes. No. Yeah, we experience. And you know, what happens is we fall in love or we become affected by the idea of possessing something. Usually when we get what we thought we wanted that would make us happy, we discovered actually is a source of misery. Right? Adyantavanta kuntaya anateshu ramate buddha. Right? What's that? Nahis, what is it? Nahi samspasaja boga yoga dukkai, what is it? The objects of the senses are the source of happiness and distress. And of course that's what we're seeing here in this story, right? Maharaj Chitraketu thought, I'll be happy if I get a son, right? Oh, my son, my son, my son, right? And but then what happened? What did they call the boy? What was the name of Harsha? Yes, Harsha. Why Harsha? Harsha means what? Happiness. And Shoka means misery. Yeah, Harsha. Maharaj Chitraketu was thinking, oh, he'll just be a little naughty. But what happened? The son was poisoned by his stepmothers because they were being neglected, and so he died. And so therefore, great source of lamentation, right? Very often the case. We think, yes, if I get this, if I get that, then I'll be happy. And then we get it, and what do we discover? It wasn't what we thought it was. Right? So these desires, ultimately, are what forms the various circumstances and situations that we find ourselves in the material world. And of course, the material world is designed in such a way so you can't be happy here. Na teshu ramate buddha. Right? The wise don't seek happiness in the material creation. You know, you may be happy for some time, But you're guaranteed to also be unhappy as well. This is just the way the material world works. You know, we think, you know, oh, I'll get married, I'll be happy, right? And you are happy for a little while. But then you discover there's all sorts of problems, right? Oh, I'll be happy if I have a child, right? And so the child comes along and then, oh, very happy, but then so much sleepless nights, right? And then the child doesn't behave the way that you hoped they would. So you think, oh, you know, if a family gets a daughter, then they think, oh, well, let's have a son, right? And if they have a son, oh, let's have a daughter, then we'll be happy. Oh, the child needs a companion, right? So, in this way, you know, our mental creations are facilitated ultimately by Mahavishnu, or by the Lord, in the form of the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. This is how it works, right? The Lord, in the form of the Super Soul, knows what each one of us desires. It's amazing when you think about it, right? We have difficulty handling our own desires, but Krishna is able to handle everybody's desires in the form of the Super Soul. What is it? Ishvaraha Sarvabhutanam. I'm the controller of all living entities. Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. I'm situated within the heart of everyone. Brahmayan Sarvabhutanam Yantra Rudhani Mayaya. We're all situated as if on a machine made of material energy, and Krishna's facilitating all of our desires, all of the actions and reactions. Somebody should make sure that door's closed. It's all right. Should be locked. It's not it. So, the example here is given. No, it's you need a key to deadlock it. Yeah, you need to have the key. The example is given that these concoctions, these mental creations, are like tigers and snakes that we see in a dream, right? You have dreams like that? You ever have dreams where there's snakes going to bite you? I still have it sometimes. So, now it's not that, you know, that our because it's mentioned here that our family and what does Prabhupada say here? Oh no, it's in the translation. Objects like wife, children, and property are like dreams and mental concoctions. Yeah. And so the example is given of, in a dream we see snakes and we think they're going to bite us. In fact, they're biting us. But when we wake up, it's gone. Doesn't exist. We're experiencing it, and so in that sense it's real, but then when we wake up, it's gone. The tigers and the snakes are not there. They don't exist. Huh? So similarly also our parents, our family members, our children, our work, it's all illusory. In that it doesn't exist. Ultimately, it doesn't exist. Now, we have to be careful with this because, then we start thinking, the material world is false, it's not real, and so then we think we can prematurely discard it. We have to be careful about having a proper understanding, because even though the forms of the material energy are temporary and so in that sense unreal, at the same time the material energy is real. And the proprietor of the material energy is also real. Isavasyam idam saravam. So everything is owned. Animate or inanimate is owned and controlled by the Ishvara. Right? Ishvaraha savabhutanam. Krishna says, I'm the controller. Right? And so, yes, in one sense, the material world can be discarded because it's temporary and false. Right? But not so easy to discard, right? Because of our desires, because of what we desire. So not so easy just to give it up. Oh yeah, it's illusory, we'll just reject it. No. And Vaishnavas have a slightly different perspective. Although this is a valid perspective at the same time. The material energy, it's easy to understand that it is temporary and false, but at the same time it is not so easy to give it up. Not so easy. Because of our attachment to wanting to enjoy. Which is, by the way, a characteristic of Krishna also. He's an enjoyer. But we're looking for that enjoyment, as Sibya said. We're trying to enjoy, and Hayagriva mentioned, we're trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. And so as a consequence of that separate mentality, that separatism, then one has to some enjoyment, but also suffering. But the desire to enjoy is very strong. Ultimately, the desire to enjoy within us is ultimately coming from Krishna. We're part and parcel. What is it? Mamai vamsa jiva loke jiva bhukta sanatanaha. We're a part and parcel of Krishna. So we also want to enjoy, just looking for enjoyment in the wrong place. We need to turn our vision towards Krishna and the spiritual realm, and understanding where real enjoyment exists. Permanent enjoyment and satisfaction exists in the spiritual realm, whereas in the material realm, always na sato vijate bhavo, na bhavo vijate sataha. Of that which is non-existent is not permanent. Whereas what is permanent is the spirit, that's us, the spirit soul. And what is strong, or is part of us, is that desire to enjoy. We're just looking at it we're looking for it in the wrong place. So the devotees see behind Prabhupada gives the example, everything basically is zero, right? But if you take the one, which is Krishna, and you put it in front of the zeros, then you get something that's meaningful. It has a meaning, right? When we understand that behind even the temporary nature of the material energy is the permanent hand of Krishna, facilitating the desires, our desires, right? And ultimately, out of compassion for us, wanting us to come back to the spiritual realm, then the devotees don't discount or minimize the material energy, because they can see it in relationship to Krishna, and they can understand that the purpose of the material energy is meant to rectify our consciousness, our contaminated consciousness, which is trying to enjoy separately from God, to understanding how we are a part and parcel of Krishna, and that the perfection of our existence is to work in cooperation with Krishna, whether there's coming or going. Right? You know, when Prabhupada had his Bhagavad Gita stolen, Prabhupada mentioned Krishna gives and he takes away. Right? So this is just the nature of the material energy, is that it sometimes manifests, sometimes not, but always under the control of Krishna. And that Krishna has a purpose in making the material energy, the material world, a place of temporality, right? Always under the influence of the time factor. And so, you know, always this coming and going, always. But if we use the material energy appropriately, properly, we can use it to break the attachment to its creations and develop an attachment to the forms and features and the activities that exist in the spiritual world in a permanent state. Right? This is the purpose. The purpose of material energy is to teach us a lesson. Don't stick around. Get out of here, right? And go to the place where there's permanent state of being, a permanent state of action, a permanent state of engagement, where those desires to be active and to enjoy and to interact, right? Be with others and to have fun, basically. Who doesn't want to have fun, right? And you're not going to have much fun by yourself. You've got to have fun with others. And that's, you know, this notion that, the material world is illusory and it's just a place of suffering is valid. But what's the alternative? Right? Because our desires are strong. We're not going to remove that desire to be engaged in activities that bring some satisfaction and enjoyment. So material energy has to be used, and so the devotees therefore respect the material energy and the creator of the material energy, and they use it for you know, rather than just reject it, no good, negative, pain, suffering, which of course it is. Right? There's no denying these characteristics, but using it for a positive, for the positive benefits that come from it. So, you know, rather than becoming entangled in the intricacies of material existence and the sufferings that come as a result, the devotees are able to use the material energy and take advantage of it for the purposes of making spiritual progress, spiritual advancement, having a proper understanding of the limits of the material energy, but at the same time using it to make advancement in spiritual life. And knowing that knowing its connection And that we're given a portion. While we're here, we're given a portion of the material energy, ultimately belonging to Krishna. And knowing that it belongs to Krishna, we use it in His service. And even though it is limited and temporary, still we can get eternal benefits by using it in the eternal service of the Lord. Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions? Any thoughts on any of these points?
So to use the material energy like they use it in the spiritual world, that's what you mentioned?
Yeah. What was that again, sorry?
So using the material energy as well.
Using the material energy.
I mean, how they do things in the spiritual world. That's what you mentioned.
Yeah.
So that means that we have to have knowledge of what they do in the spiritual world, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we do need to have knowledge of what happens in the spiritual world, or how to use material energy for spiritual purposes, and what those spiritual activities are, right? And this is one of the reasons why the Goswamis studied the Shastra, right? Nana Shastra Vicharanayaka Nipano Saddharma Samstapako, so that they could establish activities that echo or reflect or mimic, maybe, the activities of the spiritual world. Yeah. So there's action and reaction, right? There's work, karma, that gives us reactions. Usually good karma. But of course the material energy is designed in such a way so there's always Jamma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age and disease, right? And then there's vikarma, which is bad karma. And you'll get bad reactions. But there's also akarma, which means activities that don't give any material reaction, but build our spiritual identity. Right? So the Goswamis studied the Shastra to identify all of those activities that can be performed which are on the akarma level, which is devotional service effectively. No material good or bad reactions, but purely spiritual activities. And so there are activities that can be performed. Even though we're in the material world, actually those activities are not of the material world, they're of the spiritual realm, the transcendental realm. Yeah. So what are those activities? What are some of those activities? Kirtan, yes, especially kirtan. Krishnod kirtana gana natana paro. Premam ritambo nidhi. By chanting Hare Krishna, what happens? What happens when you chant Hare Krishna? Yeah, but what happens before that happens? What do you feel? When you chant Hare Krishna, what happens? Sibir, what happens? You feel blissful. Yes. Yeah, blissful. Mataliko, you'll go mad with love of Godhead. You'll become intoxicated. Right? This is actually our process. Our process is to make us mad. Did you know that? Who wants to become mad? Yeah? You have to. To be a Hare Krishna, you've got to be mad. Right? You've got to be mad. Mad for love of Godhead. And you know, in that mood, then the devotees become so attached to Krishna and they value the process of, you know, devotional practices that they give up material things. Right? Tyaktva means giving up. Tyag means giving up. Right? Now, how are they able to do that? The devotees don't just give things up randomly or whimsically, but rather they're able to give up material pursuits, material possessions, material acquisition, because they have a higher taste in the pursuance of their bhajan, right? Bhajan ananda, the ananda that comes from bhajan, or the bliss that comes from chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, so what's next? What else do we do besides chanting? Huh? Did you say reading? Yeah, reading. Yeah, reading. It's also kirtan. Did you know that? Studying the Bhagavatam is also kirtan, Prabhupada says. Yeah. Yeah, kirtan, that's awesome. What else? What's another spiritual activity that we perform broadly? Prasadam. Yes, prasadam. But what's prasadam part of? Where does prasadam come from? Out of the kitchen. Yeah, but what's the kitchen part of? What's it part of? Huh? The temple? Yeah. And why is the temple there? Who's in the temple? Huh? Deity worship. Yeah, deity worship. Yeah. A lot of what we do is, well, practically speaking, it's the Bhagavat Vidhi and the Pancharatrika Vidhi, right? Deity worship and kirtan and study of books and preaching. Although actually the deity worship is preaching. Also, they go together. 2 lines of the track for a devotee to make spiritual progress. The worship of the deity. Is the worship of the deity important? What do you think? Go and have a look at the roster. Quite a bit. And that's where prasadam comes from, right? Where does prasadam come from? Sibir, where does the prasadam come from? Huh? From the deities, yeah. Why? What happens? Because we offer it. Yeah, we offer it. We offer everything to Krishna. Right? I read a really nice quotation the other day. I was looking at Jamuna's puja book, Seva Puja book, and there was a quotation from her previous book, and she mentions that the worship of the deity is intrinsically connected with chanting. Right? And in order to effectively worship the deity properly, we have to chant Hare Krishna offenselessly. Right? Because what happens when you chant Hare Krishna offenselessly? What happens? Or has anybody experienced that? Maybe a little bit? What happens when you chant Hare Krishna and that's all you do, what happens? Anybody had that experience? Whose hands up if you've chanted Hare Krishna? Okay, good. That's encouraging. Right. What about chanting Hare Krishna, but actually hearing the mantra while you're chanting? Anybody had that experience? You must have had it at least once. For a little while we must have. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. What happens? How do you feel when you're chanting Hare Krishna? What happens? How do you feel? Ananda Ballabha, how do you feel? Sorry? Yeah, why not? Yeah, what else? Sri Soda? Cleanses the heart. Manda Mohini, did you say something then? Feel happy. Yeah, feel happy. What else do you want to do? Chant more. Okay, yeah, chant more. Why not? Yeah. What else? Connected with who? Oh, yeah, feel connected. Yeah, what else? Huh? Blissful. Yeah, you already said that. What else? Don't you want to do some service? Don't you want to do something? Huh? Usually that's what happens. Isn't it? Or you just want to take prasadam and then go to sleep. Want to do some service. So Jimena was saying, in order to worship the deity effectively or properly, we need to chant Hare Krishna without offence. And so the desire to serve purely comes in the heart. Otherwise what happens? We desire to serve but we want something. Right? Krishna, I'll do something for you but please give me X, Y, Z. Right? But in deity worship, the desire should be, Krishna, I want to serve you because it's natural. It's what you do. You don't think about it. It's just what you do, because that's who we are, right? So when we're chanting Hare Krishna, the real self becomes manifest, and the form of the real self is what? I'm a servant, right? What is it? Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Britya. Have you heard that sloka before? Ekale? Ekale, what's that mean? Ekale? Huh? Ekale Ishvara Krishna. What does that mean? Who's the Bengali? Any Bengali wallahs here? No. But the Hindi wallahs should know that. Ekale Ishvara Krishna. What is it? Loudly so that we can hear it. Ekale Ishvara Krishna. There is only one controller. His name is Krishna. Right? Ara Sabha Britya. What does that mean? What's a Britya? Servant. Yeah, everybody else is a servant. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabha Britya. This is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Krishna is the supreme controller and everybody else is his servant, right? And so when we chant Hare Krishna, then naturally what comes out? Our service attitude, right? And then so we need to chant offenselessly. Then what did she say? What did Prabhupada say? Well, she says Prabhupada taught we have to be prompt. You know what prompt is? What's prompt? Be prompt. When you go to school, what do you have to be? Prompt. What does that mean? Prompt. On time, yes. On time. Hang on, I think there was one thing before that. Let me have a look. I've got this in my notes here. After chanting Hare, I missed one thing. After chanting Hare Krishna offenselessly, what's the next item for deity worship? You reckon? What's important for deity worship? Before being on time? Or part of getting ready on time, what do you have to be? Cleanliness, yes, clean. And that's why chanting Hare Krishna is so important, because chanting Hare Krishna cleans away the material motivations, right? We chant Hare Krishna so that that natural desire to serve manifests, right? And so we're enthusiastic, but then before, we don't just, jump out of bed and hop into the deity room, do we? What do we do first? What's the first thing you do when you... Oh, we won't go into the details. But we do our we clean. Go to the bathroom, clean the tongue, clean the teeth, clean the body. Then what do? Put on the moochy old pyjamas again? No. How do you feel? Have a shower, right? Wake up, clean your teeth, have a shower, comb your hair and all of that, right? And then you put your moochy old pyjamas back on again. How do you feel? Ooh, yuck. No way. Oh, we put on clean clothes. So cleanliness. So cleanliness of the heart, external cleanliness. So actually, and that's the thing. Cleanliness is two factors of cleanliness. There's the internal cleanliness and external cleanliness, right? Then prompt, on time. And then Shamina says something interesting. She says, and present, right? Present. Prompt and present, because you can be on time, but spaced out, right? Have you experienced spaced out? Anybody here experienced spaced out? Yeah, occasionally, not very often, right? But being present, and again that means chanting Hare Krishna, right? To keep focused, to keep in the moment. People talk about, be in the moment. Yeah. Well, that's present, being present. And for the devotees, that's important. So, the rules and regulations of chanting, right? And the rules and regulations for deity worship are designed to keep us engaged in activities that are not of the material world, right? So it looks like we're in the material world. It looks like we're at Albert Park, right? At 197 Dank Street. But actually, as Prabhupada says, this is not 197 Dank Street, right? It's a bit like, there's that in what's that story? That where they go to school at Hogwarts. What is it? Harry Potter, that's right, Harry Potter. And if you want to go to Hogwarts, there's a special platform to get on the train, right? But it's not immediately obvious. You've got to kind of walk through the wall to get there, right? So similarly here, it looks like you just walked into 197 Dank Street and you disappeared, right? You disappeared. When you walk into 197 Dank Street, you actually enter into the spiritual world. Right? So long as you're engaging in those activities. And of course, what does anybody do here? Right? What does anybody do here? It's only devotional service to Krishna, effectively, right? And we experience that. We experience even materialistic people. I've mentioned this many times before, but even materialistic people, they come to the temple and they sit in the courtyard and they take prasadam and they see that, and they say, they tell us, there's something special about this place. I don't know what it is, but it's special. Right? I go away and I want some more of whatever it is I wanted. Right? Because that's the bhakti rasa. Bhakti rasa is intrinsic to us. Right? Chanting Hare Krishna, rendering service to the deities, rendering service to the devotees is natural. It's like when we come into contact with that vibration, if you like, that feeling, then we coalesce with it, right? You know what I mean by coalesce? It means we come together with it. We vibrate in harmony. Like, if you play a guitar, anybody here play a guitar? A ukulele, right? But if you just pluck one of the strings, then the others start vibrating, right? Especially if they're properly tuned, then they start vibrating naturally and make a pleasant sound, make a pleasant feeling. So similarly, when a devotee comes into the contact, even if they're not spiritually advanced, they come in contact with the association of the devotees and the service to Krishna, it's natural within, they start vibrating also. Right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. You see that with, some of our guests, especially, I won't mention any names, but a former Premier of Victoria, who's a friend of the devotees, but he likes to chant Hare Krishna, right? So he comes in association of the devotees and he chants, right? That's what happens. So, yes, we take what is apparently of the material world, but actually its source is spiritual. The source is the spiritual world, actually. And we use it in particular activities, the devotional the activities that are recommended by the Goswamis and the Acharyas. And why the Goswamis studied so much Shastra was to put it all together in a way that would be practical for us to do effectively. But even though it appears we're in the material world, actually we're out of the material world, we're into the spiritual world, and we feel it. We feel it, that bhakti rasa, that mellow, right? That what is it? Anandam buddhivardhanam pratitpadam purnam ritasvardhanam sadavatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna sankirtanam. Right? That anandam buddhivardhanam, that bliss, if you like, of Sankirtan. Okay. Time to go to school, eh? What do you reckon? Got to be prompt and present. Even when you go to school, got to be these things. So what to speak of deity worship or chanting Hare Krishna. All right. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Mahaprasadam ki jai. Off to school ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.